in this task, you're expected to be able to find out a code for a certain word. So if you look on the board here, the question is, what is the code for arts? So there is a special 4-number code for the word arts. And the only clues you have to help find out what the code is up here. These words here and these numbers here. These are the only clues you have. So how do you go about solving it? Well, one thing you do know is that each of these codes correspond to one of those words. Okay? You will notice that there are 4 words and 3 codes, so one of those words do not have a code. So this code here corresponds to one of those words, this code here corresponds to one of those words, and this code here corresponds to one of those words. And we've got to work out which code corresponds with which, and that will help us find out what the code for arts is. Now, something that's worth doing, something that comes up quite a lot in these sort of tests, is the same letter repeats itself. And when you identify that a letter has repeated itself, it suddenly gets a little bit easier to work out the codes. Let me show you what I mean. If we look at the word road, there are no letters that repeat themselves. Okay? The word data has 2 A's. In the word dart, no letter repeats itself, and in the word star, no letter repeats itself. So it's just the word data that has 2 of the same letter, and they have the same letter here, A and A. The second digit's the same as the 4th digit. Now we know that data has the second digit the same as the 4th digit, we can look at these codes to see if any of the digits are the same for the second digit and the 4th digit. If we look here, 3645, we can see the second digit and the 4th digit aren't the same. So we know that this code does not correspond to data. But if we look here, we can see the second digit and the 4th digit are the same, 4 and 4. So data could correspond to this one, and if we look at this code, we can see that 2 and 1 are different, so data doesn't correspond to that code. So it probably, almost certainly, corresponds to that code. Okay? So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to assume that data is this code, and I am going to write the number 1464 above each letter. So D must be 1. We'll get a better pen. D must be 1. A must be 4. T must be 6. And of course 8 is 4. Okay, so now that we know that data is 1464, we can get rid of this middle code. Just makes things a little bit less confusing. Now we know that A is equal to 4, T is equal to 6, and D is equal to 1. We can start filling in some of these words that are remaining. For example, D equals to 1, so I know that this code here must end in 1. This code here must begin with 1. I know that A equals 4, so whenever there's an A, like here, I'm going to write a 4 above it. And I know that T is equal to 6. So I find my T here, put a 6 there, and I'll put a 6 there. Okay? Now, I'm left with 2 codes. And I know that this code corresponds to one of those words, and so does this code. So if I look at 3, 6, 4, 5, I know that it doesn't correspond to that word because that ends with 4, 1, not 4, 5. We know it doesn't correspond to data. We know it doesn't correspond to darts because darts begins with 1, 4. This begins with 3, 6. But if I look at the last word, we've got blank, 6, 4, blank. And here we've got 3, 6, 4, 5. So we can assume that this code here corresponds to that word. So we know that S must equal 3 and R must equal 5. And now I can get rid of this. Now I'm left with one code, which is 5241. And you should be able to see instantly that this code must correspond to that word, because that begins with 1, that ends with 4, 1, this ends with 4, 1. So R must be 5 and O must be 2. Finally, I can fill this last letter in here. I know that R is 5, so 5 goes there. And now I can write out this word, or this number. But the question was, what is the code for arts? And now what I need to do is I need to find the letter A, anywhere here, I can see it's there. So I know that A is equal to 4. The letter R is equal to 5, as you can see there. The letter T is equal to 6. And the letter S is equal to 3. So I know that the code for arts is 4563. Now this sort of question is very, very common in 11 plus selection test style questions. So make sure you practice this. What I'm going to do is when this video ends, you're going to see a very similar question. And if you use the method that I've just shown you, I'm sure you'll get it right.